Welcome to a special monthly edition of Spirit Journey Collective, where we step away from interviews and dive deep into the collective energies of the upcoming month. For those who do not know, I am an intuitive tarot reader and spiritual channel. This episode will be focused on exploring the energies of the month ahead, such as themes, both good and challenging areas to be mindful of, as well as a channeled higher self message overall. As this is a collective reading, it is important to always remember to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. It is my belief that if you are tuning in today, it is because there is some form of guidance and wisdom waiting for you. But it doesn't mean the entire reading will resonate, although it may. My name is Sarah Ty, and I am your host, reader, and channeler for the upcoming reading ahead. And without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Spirit Journey Collective. This is the monthly collective reading that I do every month. And if you noticed last month, there was one missing. I do apologize. I just needed some space. I did try to do a collective reading a couple of times in the beginning of last month, and it just, I could feel it. I needed a break. I needed space. I needed time to kind of reconnect with myself. And so it was just the right thing to do was to pull back. But I'm back and I'm ready to continue with the monthly collective readings. And I went ahead and pulled my typical spread that I've been doing. There's going to be a theme I'm going to go over. There's going to be what's working for us energetically for the month ahead, a challenge area for the month ahead, and then higher self message overall. So the theme that I pulled is the Temperance reversed. And so this one, I also pulled a clarifier card, which is the Three of Wands. So I'm going to start with the Temperance. And this one I like to lovingly call my therapist card. It doesn't mean that if you're listening, that it means you need to go find a therapist or a counselor. You absolutely can. And if that's what aligns with you, then that's definitely something to look into. But it could also mean leaning on a friend or family member, someone basically who can help you unpack emotionally in a way that you're incapable of doing for yourself right now. It could also be a form of leaning on your spiritual team. So if you have like guides that you connect with, that's another wonderful support system that's recommended too. But the Temperance did show up as the theme for the month of November, and it is reversed, which does mean that likely if you're listening, and I always like to preface with take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because this is a collective reading. So not everything may resonate for you. It may be only some of it does, or maybe the entire reading will. That really just depends on the individual who's listening, what's going on in your life, etc. But I do believe that if you are tuning in, that there's likely something here for you. So likely if you're tuning in right now with the Temperance card reversed, it's saying that you have this feeling that you really should be seeking help from someone who is an expert in some way. So this could be maybe seeking out someone in a course. This could be seeking out a therapist or a counselor. This could be, like I said, seeking out a family friend or a family member or your spirit team, but really acknowledging that you're at this place where you can't do it on your own. And you do need someone who can look at your situation in a way that you can't. It's kind of like that saying, you can't see the forest when you're in the trees. It's that same thing. You kind of need that bird's eye view and that outside help to unpack what's really going on. And so with it being reversed, likely you feel like you need to be doing something like that and you're resisting it. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be feeling like you don't have the time. It could be feeling like you don't have the resources. It could be really just wanting to do it on your own and not wanting the help, right? Not wanting to be a burden or not wanting to invest in yourself. I mean, there could be a number of different reasons why there's that resistance piece, but it is showing that there is this feeling of, you need to invest in yourself and you need to lean on someone else or higher power, something else that is going to help you through this situation. And there's this resistance of, no, I'm going to do it by myself. I got this, even though it's really saying that the huge invitation and encouragement is to seek that help. And I did pull a clarifier card to the Temperance, and it was the Three of Wands, like I mentioned earlier. which is literally saying that many of us are at this precipice where we're leaving behind, we're closing one door so we can open a new door. There's a little bit of a transition happening. It's not quite as big as like the death card or the fool, but it's very similar in the sense that there's something that you're leaving behind and there's something you're stepping into, and you are in transit right now. You are in the middle. You haven't fully closed one door, you haven't fully opened the new door. You're in the middle. You're on your journey. And it's really saying that in order to continue, moving forward, you need that extra help. And again, it could be it's some kind of expert help in a way. So it could be again that bird's eye view that you can't see, going to an actual professional like a counselor or a therapist who has degrees in helping you through these things, leaning on family friends or family members, leaning on your spirit team. But definitely there's this huge invitation that in order to move forward, you do need to let help in, and you do need to let yourself lean on someone or something to help you through it. So that is our theme for November. Moving into what is working for us, we have the Two of Cups reversed. So I feel like, again, there's a lot of awareness around this idea that you're ready to unpack something, because the Two of Cups I like to call my shadow card. So it's saying that there's a lot of awareness around trauma and triggers and things in our past that is directly affecting our present. And I would say there's still resistance. So what's working for us in this particular instance isn't the fact that we're actually doing the shadow work. It's actually more in the awareness of needing to do it. So if we're not aware, we can't do anything with it. We can't make any steps. We can't move forward if there's no awareness. So I do feel like that's what's working for you, is that there is a sense of awareness. There is a sense of, I know I need to do this trauma healing. I know that there are older fragments of me that needs to be recollected and brought together again and loved. And really just learning how to take the parts of us that were broken in the past from trauma and difficult situations, and remembering that we're already a whole person. There's nothing about us that's really broken the way that we think it is, and being able to collect all of us and put it back together. And so I do feel like there is an awareness to that. If you're listening, you do realize that there is more that needs to be done, but there's again that resistance around doing the work, like actually saying yes and diving into it. And so I do feel like the awareness is good, that you need help, and the awareness is good that you need to go backwards to heal in order to move forward. And so I love that in the sense that because there's that awareness available, you can resonate and connect with that and now take action with it and do something with it to help you move forward. And so but right off the bat, there's just a lot of invitation to go deep, to lean on someone else for help, to start processing some old deep wounds. And while there is resistance, I would really encourage taking a look at what is keeping you from doing that work. What is keeping you from leaning on someone? What is keeping you from figuring out where those traumas and triggers began, so that way you can actually shift it in your present and process it so you can allow yourself to move forward, just like the Three of Wands is encouraging us to do. And it's like literally saying, in order to continue to move forward, this needs to happen. And as a challenged area for the month of November is the Five of Cups reversed. The Five of Cups I like to refer to as the grief card. So there's grief. There is literal pain that is not being acknowledged. And a lot of the times our society really encourages us to sweep things under the rug, to deal with our pain later, to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and just keep going, but without actually dealing with our feelings and dealing with what's underneath those feelings and why they're there and how we can process and move forward. Like that whole part of it, we're a lot of times taught to just sweep it under the rug or put a band-aid on it. And so grief, and some people will hear grief and they'll immediately think death, right? Oh my gosh, the death of a loved one. And grief could mean multiple different things. It could be leaving behind a relationship. It could be the breakup of a relationship. It could be the breakup of a friendship. It could be leaving a job that maybe you've been at for a really long time. It could be leaving a home that you've lived in for years. It could be a number of different things. It's usually the grief is when you're feeling like you lost something and you're missing a piece of something. And sometimes, like in the case of getting another job, sometimes we're ready. We want that new job, but it doesn't mean we're not going to miss the old one. It doesn't mean we're not going to miss what was. Even if like a relationship is toxic and you know it needs to end, you know the breakup was inevitable, it doesn't mean you don't miss what was. And that's the grief process. And so I do feel like whatever it is that you're being called in to heal from your past, from your shadow work and the trauma, there's grief there that hasn't been processed. It's been kind of like frozen in time in a sense where you compartmentalized it and you put it in like this time capsule and you just left it there. And higher self is like, no, no, no. This grief is directly affecting your pain point. It's directly affecting you now and creating limiting beliefs and holding you back. And in order to really go deep and figure out what that grief is and what that trauma is, that's where the temperance card comes in. That's where that either therapist or counselor, family friend, family member, leaning on your guides, that's where leaning on help to unpack it and see it from a different perspective is so important. So moving on to the higher self message overall, I have the 9 of Pentacles. And I do love this because this one does speak to success. It does speak to being able to reap what you sow, but in a very positive way. Like you've done the work, now you get to celebrate it. Now you get to celebrate how far you've come. And so I do feel like this is showing up as a way to let you guys know, like this work, it's going to be worth it. It's going to take you to another level of success where you get to really honor and celebrate the wins and successful. And the pentacles specifically speak to tangible things. So we're talking about like worldly things where, basically what healing can do on an energetic level will give you actual tangible manifestations in the real world. And so I do feel like some of this is also speaking to when we do healing journeys, sometimes we feel like we have goals and milestones on that journey of once I do this, then I'll be okay. Once I get here, then I'll celebrate this. And I do feel like there's an element of remembering to stay present in your healing journey and remembering to honor every milestone and really celebrate every milestone. And don't be thinking about like, okay, this thing feels healed. Now on to the next thing. Really like sit with it. Like, yeah, I healed this thing. It feels good. I feel like I can finally move forward. I feel like I processed it and celebrate that. Lean into the hard work you've done just to get to that milestone before you start thinking about the next thing. There's an element of being present, stopping to smell the roses, not trying to think way too far ahead. But I do feel like mostly the Knight of Pentacles is showing up as a way to show you that when you can heal yourself, when you can lean on help, specifically, I feel like a big part of this message is leaning on help no matter what form it is that you're looking for or needing, letting someone else help you unpack it. When you're able to lean on help, it's going to allow you to process trauma. It's going to help you process grief, which is going to directly impact your physical world and your physical realm and what it is and how you show up in the world and the successes that you have. And again, coming back to that 3 of Wands, I do feel like it is saying that in order to move on to be successful, to really, really be successful in the real world, you have to heal. You have to do the inner work on yourself. You have to work through limiting beliefs. You have to work through healing, forgiveness, and really allowing yourself to process and compost baggage and pain that it's just right now, it's like you're dragging a heavy suitcase. So when you're trying to be successful, you're taking all these heavy baggages with you, and it's like a weight that's keeping you down when you don't need that weight. You're ready to release it, but in order to release it, you have to process it. And once you're able to process it and release it, that's when the Knight of Pentacles comes in and there's more space energetically for the success that you're desiring, for that tangible, practical, real world manifestations and creating more of that life that you desire. So I do feel like this was a little bit heavier, but I do feel like the biggest invitation for November is to start allowing yourself to process some of this pain that there's been a lot of resistance around, and not doing it alone. But however that's going to look like for you, whether it's a therapist, family friend, family member, higher power, guides, etc., just knowing that you need some kind of an anchor to help you unpack what is now holding you back from moving forward. And it's not like a big thing yet, because the Three of Wands is saying that you are in transit. There is still movement forward. But I do feel like the initial, not warning, but the initial tap on the shoulder and invitation is, if you don't do this healing work, this transition then might start to slow down and you might feel like you're more in limbo. And then there might be more of like not wanting to leave behind this door that you're ready to close and not ready to step into the door that's ready to open, which is the success, which is being able to drop some of that weight. So I hope that this helped you prepare for the month of November and the energies, and kind of tapping into probably what you already know and confirming and validating what maybe you have been not ready to acknowledge yet. But hopefully this gave you a little bit of guidance moving into the month ahead. So thank you again for joining me on another collective reading, and I will see you all next month.
Are you in the need of guidance around love, career, family, life, or purpose? Embark on a spiritual journey inward with an intuitive tarot reading. Depending on what you're needing and looking for, I offer private one-on-one sessions as well as personalized email readings. It doesn't matter what the question is. A reading with me provides connection with your higher self, offering curated personal messages, or what I like to refer to as spiritual roadmaps, guiding you to the future outcome you desire. Readings are insightful and affordable. If you'd like more information or to schedule a reading with me, please see the link below. Thank you for joining me on another inspiring episode. Remember, your purpose is a unique and unfolding path. I hope these conversations have ignited a spark within you. Until next time, keep exploring, growing, and embracing the beautiful adventure of connecting with your purpose. Stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. If you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me on this journey.